Hi, I'm Enchanting Nubianette. Welcome back. And if you're new to my channel, welcome. Everyone, the release of Autistic Barbie isn't just another product drop. It's a cultural moment that quietly says what most families have been asking for out loud, that our children deserve to see themselves reflected with care, dignity, and accuracy. And in a world where autism is often misunderstood, this doll does something powerful because it normalizes the difference without turning it into a spectrum. And for many parents and educators like myself and children, that matters more than any headline ever could. So, this new doll, released as part of the Barbie Fashionistas line by Mattel, was designed with direct input from autism advocates, clinicians, and people on the spectrum themselves. And that collaboration shows up in all the details. Let's talk about it. First, the eyes are one of the most talked about features. They're softer and less sharply contrasted than the traditional dolls. And for children who are sensitive to intense facial expressions and overstimulation, this matters. Reviewers have noted that the eyes feel calm and approachable instead of being overwhelming, and the clothing is intentionally sensory friendly. The fabric is textured but is gentle, and it is designed to avoid irritation. There are no harsh seams, scratchy tags, or stiff materials that can trigger discomfort during play. And for autistic children, who we know many of them are sensitive to touch, this allows longer, more relaxed playtime without any kind of stress. And let's talk about the color palette because it leans to soothing instead of loud. There's muted blues, a lot of warm tones in the clothing, colors, thoughtful patterns, and it definitely replaces the overstimulating neon kind of designs. So this choice reflects how many autistic children experience the world, and it respects that reality instead of fighting against it. Then we have the accessories. They're purposeful. So these items are noise reducing headphones that acknowledge sensory overload as a real everyday experience and is not a flaw. They send a message that accommodations are normal and that there's nothing to hide. So, everyone, you're probably wondering why this all matters during playtime. We know that play is where children practice life, it's where they test social roles, they express their emotions, and it makes sense that they have this because this is how they make sense of their world on their own terms. And for autistic children, Autistic Barbie does something quietly revolutionary. She doesn't ask them to mask, she doesn't demand eye contact, force smiles, or even quote unquote normal behavior. She exists as she is, and that alone can be deeply affirming, don't you think? Now, parents all across the United States, they have shared that children who previously lost interest in dolls now engage longer and even more comfortably. Some children use a doll to act out real life experiences like wearing headphones in public or choosing quiet times. And others, they simply enjoy seeing a doll that looks and feels safe. Now, for the neurotypical children, the impact is just as important. Listen to this. Playing with Autistic Barbie, it helps build empathy early, and it introduces the idea that people experience the world differently and that those differences are valid. So, no lecture required, there's no awkward explanation, just play doing what the play does best, right? So, the reviewers, the response so far has been overwhelmingly positive. Many parents have praised the attention to sensory needs, especially the gentle textures, the calm facial design, and others have highlighted how the doll opens up conversations about autism naturally without fear or even any stigma. And many educators and therapists, I actually would say numerous of them, have also noted its value in the classrooms and therapy settings. So this doll, everyone, becomes a tool for modeling inclusion, discussing accommodations, and reinforcing that support systems are part of everyday life. Perhaps, the most telling thing is the comments from autistic adults who say, quote unquote, I wish this existed when I was a child, end of quotes. So that kind of response doesn't come from marketing, YouTube family. It comes from feeling unseen. This is definitely bigger than this Barbie doll because Autistic Barbie isn't about perfection. It's about presence. And it acknowledges that representation doesn't always need to be loud to be meaningful. Sometimes it's in the softness of the eyes. Sometimes it's in the skirt or the shirt that doesn't irritate the skin. Sometimes it's in a pair of headphones that quietly says, your needs are valid. And for so many years, families have been asking for inclusion that feels real instead of symbolic. So with this release, Barbie takes a step in that direction, not as a savior, not even as a trend, but as a reflection of the children who already exist and deserve to feel at home in their own imagination. So, this is not just a good design, YouTube family. I believe it is progress. What do you think? What are your opinions about the Autistic Barbie? So, everyone, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. And once again, stay safe wherever you are. And keep your head on a swivel at all times.
I would describe myself as outgoing, upbeat, girly girl, creative, artistic, colorful, detail-oriented.
I'm an artist and fashion designer. I am autistic. I think differently.
Our journey with autism started when Miko was actually 2 years old. Learning about her when she got her diagnosis helped me get my diagnosis. It was a relief, and I didn't want her to walk through life without people understanding her. When she first started using the device, that connection was magical. She was completely nonverbal before she got that.
I want to become a fashion designer to help me to communicate. My designs are beautiful and different because of my autism.
So autism has been a very positive thing for me, and like dolls have been my comfort. They help keep me stable. They bring me joy.
All right, take a look. Hello. What is that?
The fidget spinner feels relatable, and it's cool that it moves because I myself carry around a toy bag, and fidget spinners are one of the many toys I have in there.
I did approve her dress. It has frills and loose dresses makes her feel comfortable.
What are these? You got headphones, don't you?
And I noticed that the eye gaze is a little indirect. This one's making more eye contact, and this one isn't making direct eye contact. Because as people with autism often struggle with eye contact, and that was something that was harder for me growing up.
I was looking at a Barbie and it makes me feel really amazing and proud.
Seeing her play with a doll, it gives me a sense of peace.
A Barbie doll.
You like Barbie doll? I do too.
I've wanted there to be an autistic doll since I knew I had autism. It means a lot to finally see this happen.
Having a Barbie doll that represents autism, I hope that all parts of the spectrum feel included in the conversation. I want them to feel hopeful. I want them to feel like they matter.
I just hope that they feel seen, they feel heard, because this doll is making me feel seen and heard.
introduced an Autistic Barbie, the latest doll in a collection intended to celebrate diversity. The toy company says it developed the doll in partnership with the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, a nonprofit that advocates for better representation of people with autism. The Autistic Barbie is wearing a flowy skirt that provides less fabric-to-skin contact and flat shoes to promote stability. Each doll also comes with a fidget spinner, noise-canceling headphones, and a tablet modeled after the communication devices used by some autistic people who struggle to speak. And for more, we are joined now by Dr. Sean Fletcher, a professor of public relations and sport communication at San Jose State University. Professor, we always appreciate the time. First off, with this new Autistic Barbie, what do you think it's going to mean to a child with autism to be able to have a doll that reflects who they are and their experience?
Well, first off, there are both macro and micro impacts to this. We've seen in an era to where equity and inclusion has been systematically stripped away, and we're seeing organizations and major companies really cower and strip those opportunities for marginalized and disenfranchised groups to be represented. In the United States, around 1 in 31 children around the ages of 8 are diagnosed with ASD, and around 1 in 45 adults. This is a community that should be represented, should be felt, should see themselves represented, but not just represented. And this is where I applaud the Mattel company, is that, as you mentioned, they partnered with ASAN to make sure that the community felt as though they were being represented in an authentic way. So many of the different sensory sensitive accessories on top of many of the other pieces that will be with this particular Barbie, that's going to build awareness of the ASD experience.
And, you know, Professor, you talk about the current sort of political climate when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have seen a lot of major companies in this country rolling back their DEI programs at this particular moment. What does it say to you about a company like Mattel leaning into this diverse collection of Barbie dolls at this moment, and what could it mean? What could the implications be for other large companies?
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm never really one to pat different corporations on the back, because I understand we do live in a very economic-driven society. However, I do give credit where credit is due. This is an organization that amid many of the different political pressures, and I'll just name it, coming from the White House itself, putting pressure on organizations to where it hits them not just in the pocket, but reputation-wise as well, for them to see that this is consistent with the Mattel and the Barbie brand since its debut in 1959. Barbie, whatever you may feel about its societal impact, has significantly challenged many of the different ways that young girls and women have been represented and should be represented in society. So for them to not just push forward beyond many of the different systemic wearings away of equity and inclusion, but for them to stay true to their brand since 1959, to move this forward on top of many other Barbie fashionista lines, as it's called, that are representative of many different marginalized groups. I have to give credit where credit is due, and I applaud them.
Yeah, and let me ask you about just sort of the broad array of dolls they've unveiled. They have the Autistic Barbie, but it's the latest in this collection celebrating diversity. We have a Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes, a doll with Down syndrome, a blind Barbie, and of course you have Barbie dolls with a variety of different body types, hair types, and skin colors. What does this kind of representation mean, and why does it matter so much when it comes to toys that children are going to play with?
Oftentimes, and I want to be very clear, many marginalized communities, they're not looking for sympathy. They're not looking for charity. Many of the different instances where marginalization happens is due to cultural incompetency. It's due to lack of awareness. It's when individuals are seen as less than human, or they don't represent enough of the population to where we should care or give accommodations towards them. These are opportunities for the mass, broader society to understand not just communities are here, but they deserve a seat at the table. They deserve to have the accommodations conditions necessary for them to be as successful as anyone else and function and thrive in society. So again, I applaud not just Mattel, but any of the organizations that are sort of pivoting from this societal flow, and they are moving towards equitable and inclusive practices.
All right, Dr.